Well, I finally broke down and made myself an appointment for a routine checkup. It's been way too long since I've had one of those. And I tell myself it's because I just haven't had any time for a doctor's appointment. But if I'm honest, I have to admit that part of why I've neglected to get an appointment is because I don't really want to know how I'm doing. I don't really want to know how much I weigh. I don't really want to know those blood pressure numbers. I don't really want to see any abnormalities in my blood work. Easier to ignore, isn't it, than to notice? The King will answer them, "Truly I say to you, as you did it to one of the least of these, my brothers, you did it to me." Then he will say to those on his left, "Depart from me, you cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me no food. I was thirsty, and you gave me no drink. I was a stranger, and you did not welcome me. Naked, and you did not clothe me. Sick and in prison, and you did not visit me." Then they also will answer, saying, "Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty or a stranger or naked or sick or in prison, and did not minister to you?" Then he will answer them, saying, "Truly I say to you, as you did not do it to one of the least of these, you did not do it to me." Did you notice their question? No, Lord, when was it that we didn't do these things? Lord, when was it that we didn't help you? When was it? We didn't know. Lord, if we knew it was going to be on the test, then we would have studied. We didn't know. Easier to ignore than to notice. One time a man came up from the subway. He walked right into the station. He positioned himself on a bare wall right next to a trash can. And by most accounts, he was an ordinary looking sort of young man. He was wearing jeans and a long sleeve shirt. He was wearing a Washington Nationals baseball cap. But then he opened up a case and pulled out a violin and started playing right there in the metro. He opened up his case, turned it around towards the pedestrian traffic, and threw in a couple dollars and some change for seed money. And over the next 43 minutes, he began to play. He performed a number of classical pieces right in the middle of rush hour, as most people were, walking and getting to work. And each person that passed by had a choice to make about their behavior. There was over 1,000 people that passed by during this time. Their choice was simple. Do you stop and listen? Do you stop and smell the roses, as they say, to appreciate the music, maybe even throw in a buck or two? Or do you hurry past as quick as you can to just, aware of the unsolicited demand on your time and on your wallet? Ignore or notice. Ignore or notice. Now, no one knew it, but the violinist standing against that bare wall in that metro was actually one of the finest classical musicians in the world. He was once a child prodigy, but now at 39 years old, Joshua Bell was an international virtuoso. In fact, 3 days before, he had just packed out the Boston Symphony Hall, where seats go for over $100 there. But on that Friday, there in the metro, Joshua Bell was just another street performer, competing for the attention of busy people as they went on their way to work, playing some of the most elegant music ever written on a violin that was worth millions of dollars. His performance was an experiment, really. In this commonplace setting, at an inconvenient time, would people ignore or notice? And in that hour that Bell played, as you might suspect, only 7 people stopped to take the time to listen to the music. And only 27 people gave any money, most of them just as they were running by for a total of $32 and some change. That meant that over 1,000 people had hurried by completely oblivious. Most of them had chosen to ignore. Most of them had chosen ignorance. But there was a bright spot that morning. There was one person who had walked by who noticed that it was Joshua Bell. Her name was Stacy. She didn't know an awful lot about classical music, but she had been to one of Joshua's free concerts about 3 weeks prior, so she recognized him. She wasn't entirely sure what was going on. Here was this international virtuoso playing in the streets, begging for money. She didn't know what was happening, but she didn't want to miss it. So she got in a spot right close to Joshua Bell, about 10 feet away, front row and center. And with a huge grin on her face, she sat there until the very end of the performance. And this is what she said. "It was the most astonishing thing I've ever seen. Joshua Bell was standing right there in front of us, right there, playing at rush hour. And most people didn't stop or even care to look over. But I am so glad that I did. I am so glad that I did." Friends, who or what have we been ignoring? Or how have you chosen ignorance? Where are those violinists God hopes you notice? And where is that music playing that God invites us to hear? Amen.